and welcome everybody to another episode of JTS podcast. And in today's episode, we're gonna be featuring JTS wrestler Orfaud, and this is the JTS podcast episode 3. So we're gonna ask a lot of questions tonight for Orfaud, but some of the questions will be for his match at Double or Nothing with the JTS champion Randy Orton. Orfaud, how do you feel on being a match with the most dangerous and dominant champion in all of professional wrestling, Randy Orton? Well, for this question, I'm glad you asked. Because how do I feel on being a match with the most dominant world champion in all of professional wrestling, Randy Orton? And let me tell you, everybody who have not watched the last episode of JTS Wrestling previously, Randy Orton telling me that his wife is like my mother. She was not like my mother. And to be fair, Randy, you told me that she was dead. She is, but don't mention it. I say the words that I shouldn't use here on JTS Wrestling. But specifically, I would say this Sunday, I'm not just beat you up. And hell, if I'm lucky enough, I'll even kill you, Randy. At Double or Nothing, I will train in the gym. I will bust my ass there just to be ready for our match, because this Sunday, I'm not just gonna make you quit. I am going also to end your miserable career. And that time, you will put some damn respect on my name. Because my name is Orfaud, and this Sunday, I will be the YouTube champion. And that is undisputed. Strong words here, and what a confident challenger you are, Orfaud. But this is the next question, as I've asked every wrestler who is on this podcast. How do you feel on being a pro wrestler, and who gives you the spirit of to be a wrestler? For this question, I would say it is my mother who's the one to give me a spirit to be the wrestler, to be a superstar who I am here on JTS Wrestling. But this story is not unlike the other story, which is on the first ever episode of Jay's podcast, while you interview the YouTube champion, the most rated R one, Edge. And for those who don't know what is rated R, just search it for Google. But don't blame me as the man who gave you the ideas to search bad stuff on Google. But let's go on to the story. First of all, I would say, who's ready for story time with Orfaud, baby? So it was 9 years ago when I was like very sick of school. I was sick and tired of school. Well, I want to say that I am a nerd. That was 20 years ago when I was a big nerd at my school. But I felt that way. Why study so much? You should study hard for your exams, but don't be a guy who study so much hours. Maybe you could even line up in brain. You could even be dumb by studying too much. You could even be a dork. Well, to be fair, I'm sorry for insulting all of you but let's go on to the story. So it was this time I was sick and tired. I would tell my mom every morning that I hate waking up early in the morning just to get my ass out of the bed to be in school. I was like, I have enough of it. I have graduated this time. It was for me to go to college, but I was like, why I should go to college? I should get a job. Maybe if you get to college, you won't even get money. But to go on, for goodness sake, my mother told me that you could even do a job. And I was so happy, but what kind of jobs? I asked. And then my mother was like, you can be whatever you design to be. I will still support you. But if you chose the bad jobs, then I will not support you. But this goes on to say, I think so, to be fair, I would say that when my mother told me to be a pro wrestler, I was like, what? What the hell? Was like, what the hell is pro wrestler? And my mother was like, what? You don't even know what is wrestler? And you don't even know what is wrestling? I was like, what the hell was wrestling? What is it called wrestling? It should be called more like wrestling. And yeah, I was joking that one, but my mother was like, you could even be a pro wrestler. I was like, what is a pro wrestler? And my mother was like, okay, let me tell you a story about this, because my father, who was a very professional wrestler in his age, he wrestled so many men, and I was like, what do you mean wrestle? I understand the term wrestle, but that means like to wrestle somebody, like to punch his face, kick his ass, and bury him down to the ground. I was like, what the hell was she talking about? And it was like, what is wrestling anyway? And she was like, wrestling was is one of the best jobs that you can get, and you can handle simultaneously with other jobs like cleaning the dishes, maybe like spending time with your family. It was like, spending time with my family? When's the last time that I have a girlfriend? Yeah, I'm only joking, but that is true. And it goes on, and it is safe to say that the next night I've been watching wrestling, and since I watched wrestling, I became addicted. But not addicted like all of many people who's like watching wrestling and going to bed watching wrestling, waking up in the morning watching wrestling. It's like, when I saw professional wrestling, I was like, this is the job that I really wanted it. And my mother was like very proud for me, like, are you gonna support me? I asked. And she was like, what do you mean I'm not gonna support you? That is the type of job I want you to have. So I'm gonna support you in your highs or in your lows. I will still be the best parent that you can ever ask for. And I was like, thank you, mother. Thank you, mom, for letting me to be a pro wrestler, for letting me to be truthfully what I want to be in this world. Well, my time here on this earth, I just want to say I am a Christian. I believe in Him. I believe in Jesus. That's why this last episode of Jay's Wrestling, I want to say I apologize, Lord, and I apologize all of you for saying words that I shouldn't have to say. The first words I have to say, I have to blame myself as saying the words that I shouldn't have said back at the last episode of Jay's Wrestling. I sincerely apologize for doing that. And I don't want to point out to Randy. Well, he said it first, and that means I'm pointing at others. I don't want to point at Randy. He might be the ferocious, he might be the most dominant champion in Jay's history, but that doesn't change the fact that this Sunday at Double or Nothing, when I beat the living hell out of him, he will understand who the hell I really am. He will understand that what I'm made of. And let's go on to the next question. Who calls me to be a wrestler, to be on the spot, to be in a part of Jay's roster? And I was like, it was your social. Jay's the one. Unlike any other episodes that you saw here in Jay's podcast. Well, if you let me tell you a story about, like, that is a made up story though. It was like one guy who is in a business, who is the owner, and it was like he invites every assistant, every co-worker to be a part of it. I'm sorry for that music. Just turn that goddamn music out, please. Whatever. We are here in this city, here in Shillong, Meghalaya, but that doesn't change the fact that here in Shillong, Meghalaya is the best. But it is one of the most beautiful country in all of the world. But by somebody playing the music purposely well we have a podcast right here live on JTS. I just want to say screw you up. We are having a podcast. So where was I at? So it was the owner calling the co-workers, you're hired, you're hired, you're hired. And it makes sense because it has to be the owner. It has to be the CEO who will call you to be a part of the roster. So it was Jared Stoichio Jedius who's the one who called me to be the J's roster. So when I see JDS wrestling, more like professional wrestling, I was like, I want to be in this job, so I apply to be in this job. And Jared was so kind to me that he allowed by not even say a word. And so first, I stood up to him, and we was meeting there. It was like introducing our names, and he was like, "No words. By the look in your face, you're hired." I was like, "I, are you playing a joke?" And Jared was like, "No, man, you are hired, and from every day you will be drafted to Jay's life." And that doesn't change the fact that Francesco was my brother, and now many people have questioning where is he at. So I don't want really to say this, but I have to because Orfaud, I mean, that's my name. What am I saying? Francesco, my only brother in this world, suffers. I mean, is on surgery because he injured his leg on his last match between me, and I was like, sincerely apologize. That also because let me tell you a story for those who doesn't know the OF's club. Me and Francesco were one of the most dominant team in all of professional wrestling and in all J's wrestling. We was one of the hottest team in all of the world. We dominate teams after teams. Well, in those time of age, it was still TVPG, and at those times it was like have a tag team match. I mean, JTS do not specifically have that match anymore here on J's Wrestling, but I hope to see in the future. And in 2023, I think so. We're gonna make a media scrum. Is that right, Brandon? Yeah, I think so, Orfaud. Thank you, Orfaud, for answering me that question. But this is the last question for this podcast because we just heard some breaking news from JDS that he's allowing JDS podcast to be under 30 minutes, so we could be approximately 30 minutes for this podcast. But I'm wasting too much time talking. Enough talking, am I right? But this goes on to the last question. What will JDS be when you beat the living hell out of Randy Orton this Sunday at Double or Nothing for the JDS champion in the first ever type of stipulation match? I quit. Okay, this is starting to get very interesting. Thank you, Brandon, for asking me that question. When I win the J's champion, and that's a matter of if I win the J's champion, if I beat the living hell of the living crap out of Randy Orton, I would say I will change JDS. I will even change the whole company. When I won the J's champion, I will be one of the best pro wrestler here in JDS Wrestling. And this goes on to the sake. I mean, I don't clearly know English because I'm not an English. I don't speak English. I am an African. I mean, what the? Whereas I'm not technically an American. I am. Where was I at? The country? Oh, I forgot, man. Yeah. Oh, yes. I was French. I was in France, bro. So sorry for my incorrect English. But where was I at? There's some bad news for me. And there's a bad news for all of you. For the first bad news, actually, it's not for me. The bad news is for Randy Orton when I beat the living hell out of him this Sunday. And the bad news is for all the J's roster Because when I am the YouTube champion, I will be opening up challenges every day of the week, every pay-per-view. I will have a pay-per-view match. Every pay-per-view, I will be the best pro wrestler in all of professional wrestling. I have a lot of goals, a lot of hopes when I am the JS champion. It is because I will be the JS champion, and coming at Double or Nothing, I will say to Randy Orton that I am better than Randy Orton, and he definitely know it. And just remember my most satisfaction catchphrase in all of professional wrestling. That is undisputed. And yeah, so this is the end of the Jays podcast, episode 3 here today. We're supposed to have Seth Rollins, but change of minds, as we'll see you in the next video, as the next video will be Jared Stoisho JTS discussing the storylines, and the official matches will be confirmed on that video. And that is our next video. And just remember that Double or Nothing will live on pay-per-view right here exclusively on YouTube on January 28, 2023. I am Brandon, the general manager of JS Wrestling, and Orfaud. We'll catch you up later. And just remember that Jared Stoisho JTS and this company is better than any professional wrestling company. And you know it.